Hi everyone, this is Julianne Luck, and I'm presenting today on reflective listening. So here we go. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I'm kidding. I just wanted to put a name to the face before I got into my presentation so that you would know who's talking to you. Alright, so back to reflective listening. I chose reflective listening, as I think both reflective listening and active listening are a little bit different, but they're also similar. So, reflective listening is defined as the summarization or rephrasing of what an individual says in your own words. So they have a confirmation that you understand what they're saying. So, when I think of reflective listening, I think of more definitely making sure that I know what the client's saying and I'm able to synthesize that into my own sentences. So I wanted to touch briefly on the difference between reflective and active listening, and I'm going to be brief because I know that someone else is also presenting on active listening. But reflective listening, like the definition states, really focuses on summarizing what the individual is saying in your own words, and it also places emphasis on not paraphrasing what the individual says. Active listening focuses more on kind of like the confirmation that you're listening to the individual, and sometimes reflective listening is part of that, but not always. So, some of the confirmations can include like body language cues, like shaking your head yes, uh, occasionally providing words of affirmation like, uh-huh, keep going, and so forth, as well as, like I said, can include paraphrasing of the client's words. So, what does reflective listening look like? Ahead are two videos. One's a do's and one's a don't video with a special guest appearance. Here's an example of what to do when using reflective listening. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, a little stressed because I got in a fight with my roommate over our house chores and who should do what. I feel that I'm doing more chores than her and feel like she slacks on her chores and assumes I will pick up the slack.
I hear you're frustrated and upset because you feel there isn't equal division in responsibilities within your household. What are the chores that you're arguing over?
We argue over things like the common areas, like the living room, kitchen, and bathroom, and who is responsible for vacuuming, mopping, wiping things down, stuff like that.
So the basic upkeep and cleaning for those areas?
Yeah. And she feels like that whoever thinks or finds it dirty first should clean it. But I feel like it doesn't matter who thinks it's dirty. If it's dirty, it's dirty. I think we should rotate. Like 1 week I do the vacuuming and the next week I do the mopping. Even if I had to do the vacuuming every week and she did the mopping, it would be fine.
I hear you. You think that having a set schedule or chore list for each week would be most beneficial instead of waiting until someone notices something is dirty, which is understandable. Here's a brief overview of the reflective listening do's video. So, in that video, I demonstrated active listening techniques with affirmative body language, i.e., shaking my head and understanding. I also demonstrated summarizing her story and disagreements with her roommate rather than reusing the language that she used in order to present the information back to her. Here's a video example of what not to do when trying to utilize reflective listening. How are you today?
I'm okay, a little stressed because I got in a fight with my roommate over our house chores and who should do what. I feel that I'm doing more chores than her and feel like she slacks on her chores and assumes I will pick up the slack.
I'm sure that's frustrating. How do you feel about the chores?
Well, I feel like we should split up the chores because we fight over like all of the common areas.
That seems like a reasonable solution. What does your roommate think about it?
Thinks that whoever thinks the area is dirty first should clean it up because she doesn't think things get as dirty as fast. So that would put all the work on me.
Here's a brief overview of the reflective listening do's video. So, in that video, I demonstrated active listening techniques with affirmative body language, i.e., shaking my head and understanding. I also demonstrated summarizing her story and disagreements with her roommate rather than reusing the language that she used
in order to present the information back to her. So how this ties back to community mental health, a good portion of our job is listening, and effective listening is an important skill for social workers. Communities also exist within our respective agencies. And additionally, having an understanding of your client's community is essential to understanding how they function outside of a treatment setting. I think of this in the context of my placement. So I'm at Central State Hospital, and one of the things that we evaluate for clients for prior to discharge is their ability to sort of effectively function within the community. So for a lot of people, this looks like taking medications, sometimes attending kind of treatment programs, as well as jobs and employment, and then also maintaining their relationships with other members of their community, whether that be family or friends. Unfortunately, a lot of my clients have kind of lost their relationships with family. So one of the big things that I personally stress is finding connections outside of family. So with friends, church members, some of them are involved in communities like AA. So just encouraging them to be a part of that. This is a brief overview of the tips and tricks handout that I will post as an additional separate document. So things to remember. Your role as a social worker. As a social worker, you wear many hats. You're a listener, you're an advocate, a social justice warrior, policymaker, therapist, so on and so forth. Another thing to remember with reflective listening is summarizing. It's key to summarize what the client is saying as a confirmation that you understand what they're saying and their situation. Remember to use your own words. One big portion for the summarization of your client's words, feelings, and situation is using your own words to reflect to the client what they're saying. Utilize those active listening skills. Don't forget your affirmative body language and verbal cues. These tell clients that you're paying attention, even when you're not actively responding. And relax. It's reflective. Don't sweat it. Think of it as you're talking to a friend, learning all of the latest gossip. Repeat all of the juicy parts, but leave the less important details behind, and don't forget your empathy. This is my co-star, Lily. She is my 11-year-old Chihuahua. Her nickname is Chicken Nugget. Her hobbies include sleeping, eating, and defying stereotypes by not being a brat or a yuppie or mean Chihuahua. She wants to assure everyone that she was compensated for her time with extra treats and games of fetch, where I catch the toy from her instead of the normal way. And she was also sitting on a heating pad for the majority of those videos, and that's how I got her to stay. Thank you all so much for watching my presentation. Here are my references. I hope you enjoyed it.